Hey gang, Chris here. I'm going to share with you today how I've been training virtual hummingbirds to find nectar in flowers in the Unity environment here using a technology called ML agents, as machine learning agents. So super cute, and you'll get a chance to see what machine learning is all about and get an introduction to this tutorial that they have for hummingbirds. So I'm going to show you my screen now. This right here is the Unity environment. And what I have are 8 little islands here, and on each of these islands are 8 little hummingbirds that are being controlled by artificial intelligence training software called ML agents. So I'm going to zoom in real quick just to show you what one of those looks like. So here's this little guy, and when I zoom in, what's going on at the moment is that we have this little software in the background, and so he's kind of just randomly doing stuff. This little software in the background is running all 8 instances as fast as it can go. I currently have this time scale of Unity set to be 20 times speed, and when I'm done with the little video here, I'm going to crank it up to 100. But what happens is these ML agents, these machine learning agents, are just trying out a handful of parameters that we let them tweak, like move forward, move backwards, rotate, tip forward, tip backwards, up, down, left, and right. And they don't know that they are hummingbirds. All they know is they've got these parameters that they can tweak, and in the very early days it doesn't know what it's doing. It's just trying something out, and as you can see, it disappeared and then it came back. It gets a certain amount of time to try out all this stuff before we reset it. And so all these little birds are trying this. It's running about half my processor speed, but we've got 8 going pretty well. And so what happens is, over time, they get some either positive or negative rewards. In this case, I do have a negative reward. The tutorial has us have a negative reward, which is if the little hummingbird agent wobbles into a wall and touches the wall, it gets a little negative reward to say, hey, don't go outside the island. And so then it'll learn from that, not to go near the walls. And as you can see, I've got some gizmos turned on here. There's little red lasers going out from it. Rays, if you will, up and down, so they can get a sense of where it's at in the world. That's also input to the little agent as well. It also has a green one, and the green laser is to the nearest flower, and eventually it starts to realize that if it gets near a flower and moves right towards it, then it's going to get some nectar. And over time, what will happen is that the little bird will get nectar. When it does, it gets rewarded for that. So right now it's just kind of crazy and kind of moving in all sorts of random directions, because that's how machine learning works. It just randomly randomly tries things with the parameters that you give it to control, and then it gets some feedback. And did it get a reward? Not sure. And on here, we can kind of see in this little lines that right now we're getting no reward. Hey, one got lucky and got a little nectar. That little positive reward means it got a little nectar. But most of them are getting negatives here, and that's how it's going to work for a while. We also have a cool little display here called tensorboard, and it shows what these tensors are, is basically how they're tracking this information. And I'm going to refresh it because it should have some data in now for hummingbird number 4. I've done 4 trial runs, and right now it's really looking pretty rough. But later in the video, I'm going to turn all these on, and you'll get to see how these things are doing over the lifetime of their actual training period. So right now we're in the teal area, and the light blue hummingbird has just gotten started. So I'm going to pause the video and bring it back in a minute once the training has gone on, and you can see how much the little agent has learned so far. Okay, let's check into our 4th run of the hummingbirds here. At about an hour, so 53 minutes or so, we've gotten in around 2.7 million steps or iterations or trials, and they're now getting to a point where the birds in their limited time of existence can get around 22 flowers. So let's go see what that looks like here on our Unity environment. I'm going to drop it back down to 20, and then we're going to zip on over to our little hummingbird. So see, now he's got a pretty good pattern. Let me turn off the gizmo. He's got a pretty good little pattern going. He's zipping around, and he discovers a flower plant, and he's got a pattern already. He swirls around a little bit once he finds one, and he's kind of understood what he needs to do to get to the front of these flowers. Okay, so we've still got another 250,000 trials to go. So we're going to check back in as this thing peters out. Back up to 100 in speed. We'll see this guy go. He moves fast now, so fast the video can't even keep up with him. Okay, so here we are at the end of the training period. We've had 5 million iterations or steps, which is what we set up at the beginning. And if you look in that little gray box there, right here, it says it lasted about 1 hour and 41 minutes. That's how long it took, running at 100x speed on just my CPU. And what happened, as you can see, the birds, all 8 birds trained themselves with the agent software to where they could get around 25 flowers before they timed out. So that's pretty good. And I'll show you what that looks like here on our screen. I'm running it right now. Let's get over here so we can find our little bird. Here he is. And now we're running at 1x speed, just regular speed. He's kind of hanging out doing his thing. And what I did was, in order to get this working, is this is actually using a model file right here called Hummingbird Neural Network Model. All the training in intelligence that I showed you guys earlier was all built to train up a set of nodes, which kind of feels like a CSV file or something, but it's basically got a bunch of data nodes in it, and this agent, through trial and error, 5 million trial and errors, created this little NN file here that has now taught it what kind of patterns it needs to follow in order to find flowers in these fields and to get the nectar. And if you notice, watch this little guy. He's kind of cruising along now. He's very consistent with what he's doing. He can find flowers pretty quickly. It still times out, but he can find flowers pretty quickly. And when he gets one, he just kind of floats himself down, works his way around the flower plant until he gets his beak inside the nectar spot there, and he drinks the flower, and then it'll turn purple. And you can see right now he's still having a little bit of a trouble, but he eventually gets it, and he eventually gets somewhere around 25 flowers before he times out again. So that's kind of how this works. Now I'll show you real quick here on the tensor board, which is again provided to show how the training kind of goes over time. I happened to run this 4 times. This was my 4th attempt. The first time I ran it, which is in orange, I stopped it early. It kind of petered out a little lower, and I stopped it because I had to run my computer on something else. I can't remember exactly why I stopped it, but if you look at the other runs, they all kind of drifted in and sort of plateaued here at around 24 different 25 flowers, 24 flowers during the time period, and they all kind of ran around the same amount of time and all that kind of stuff. So the training kind of peters out at some point. I could have topped out at maybe like 3 million trials or 3.5 million trials, but I kept going just because I wanted to go ahead and finish up the 5 million run and see if I got any different results. But as a result, we've got a pretty savvy little hummingbird here going through and finding his nectar. And again, he's not controlled by scripts. He's not controlled by anything else, except he just has this knowledge that he's built over 5 million trials. So anywho, that's super cool. I hope you enjoyed looking at what the Hummingbirds tutorial was like and learning a little bit about how, starting from nothing, a machine learning agent can be trained in an environment to, receive rewards. And in this case, a hummingbird gets rewarded when he drinks nectar. So I'm going to put a couple of links in here to help you find your way in case you're interested in this technology. First is going to be the Hummingbirds course here, and the second one, if I drop this out of the way, here's the Hummingbirds course. It's all free. You can go and grab it. You can go get Unity. It's free. You can run this training course. You might do the tanks training before if you never did Unity, and then do the Hummingbirds. But then there's also the main course here as well, which will allow you to, do I have it up? There it is. Yeah, just to get familiar with the Unity machine learning agents technology, which is also free. You can download this and run it. You can train them to play soccer or basically address a bunch of different types of training courses here that they go into. So if you like that, go to the bottom. There's also a little spot here you can sign up and learn more. But I thought I'd share that with you guys. It's super fun. My first experience with it. Really enjoyed it. And I hope you did too. Thanks.